Hello everyone, this is Super Synapse, and if you're watching this video, it's very likely you're a leader in the Phonon DAO, or you're going to be helping manage the Dework pages for Phonon. So this is Dework, and it's a really cool tool. Very excited to share some of this with you. Before we dive too much into Phonon specifically, I want to give a quick overview on how Dework works, just so you kind of have a nice idea of what to expect. So first off, Dework is organized in a very similar manner to how Discord is. So you can see here I've got a little Phonon icon for this organization. If I had joined multiple organizations, they would also display here as well. But currently I'm just part of Phonon. The little house icon, you can see I have 2 messages. We'll get to that in a second. When I click on that, there's just a discover page to see what else is out there. There's a task feed that shows tasks I'm currently a part of or that I have followed. And the most important tool here is going to be the inbox. This shows things that have happened since I last clicked on the home icon or viewed them. And you can see there's been a lot of movement in the economics group. And I can also see what's happened yesterday or before that. And this is really nice because it lets you see what's happening. You can see what's been moving, possibly what hasn't been moving, and it lets you do that in a quick glance without having to dive into the nitty-gritty of individual groups and tasks. There's also a task board. This is just going to be a customized version of all the different organizations that you're a part of. For me, it's just showing Phonon right now, and that's about it. All right, let's go back to the Phonon DAO's organization. So just like the sidebar is similar to Discord, spaces are also organized similar to how channels are. So we've got governance, partnerships, communications, etc. And each one of these can also be linked to a Discord channel. So for instance, if I were to put a new task in the economics space, that task would populate a little message in the economics channel to say, hey, a new task has been added. And if it's available for people, for them to join, they can join it, they can partake in it. It's kind of a nice way to see that. It also opens up new threads in that channel. We're going to dive into that at a later point. But for right now, it's just really good to think of this as associating each space with a channel in the Discord. And it works in the same manner of tasks and topics as it is there. So before I dive into this first group of tabs, I want to show you an established Dework group so you can kind of see what that looks like, because most of the things we have currently don't have a lot. So let's see what an established one looks like. So this is the Dework DAO's actual Dework page. So you can see the overview, how they've organized their different groups. You've got tasks that are open. You have roles. These roles can be just a vanity role. If it's important for someone to know that this person is the DAO leader or the DAO treasurer, we can use them that way. But in addition, let's say we have someone that's on salary. We can pay them through this platform and keep track of it. And it just makes certain things that are more regular easy to keep track of and compartmentalized in doing a budget. This also works for more regular things. Let's say you have a note taker and they're taking notes every meeting. They could have a role as the note taker, and it just makes sense as to why they are filling out tasks every time they take notes for a meeting. We've also got community suggestions below that, and you can see here that anyone can add an idea, a comment, a critique. But not just that, other people who are a part of your organization can vote. And this is a great way for members who maybe have something they want to say. It's not really a task or something that we've identified. They can voice their opinion and they can get other people to vote on that to kind of just raise more attention, because the more votes, the higher it is on the list. And anyone who's a part of the organization is able to add that suggestion, and anyone who's part of it can then vote on it. One of the really powerful tools as well is leaderboards. When we have this established, it'll really help us understand how we're working as an organization. So to dive into that a little bit, you can see here there's a user named Hamzat. He's finished 32 tasks. He's earned 8,800 task points, and that has amounted to roughly $755. The task points is something that we can decide as a weighted nothing, a brownie point. As a task is more difficult, we could give it more task points, and it may make some things worthwhile for people even if there's no monetary value attached. Likewise, with the earned column here, we can see how different users have earned more or less money. And we can really look at that and identify, does this make sense? Is Mr. Fliphard, who's done 14 tasks and earned $440, is he that much better than Alex, who's done 13, so one less, but only earned $135? Does that make sense? Are we rewarding Mr. Fliphard too much, or are we not rewarding Alex enough? Or, like with Anzi here, he's completed 13 tasks, 1,900 task points, but he has $0 earned. Maybe we can identify, wow, this guy's been really doing a good job. He's not earned any bounties. Maybe we want to throw him a bone. You know, it just is a great way to see where our money flows are and if there's really a value added for those users. Another thing I really feel is important is, let's say Mr. Fliphard was to leave the DAO. He just decided, you know, I'm done. That's it. This is a great opportunity for us to have kept track of what he's done and really debrief amongst ourselves. Hey, has Mr. Fliphard left a legacy that in his absence was worth the $440 that we paid? Is there maybe ways we can better be writing these tasks so that after someone leaves, their legacy lives on? You know, there's a lot of good questions we can have, and this is a tool that allows us to do that. All right, let's go back to the Phonon organization page. So just like the sidebar is organized in a very similar manner to Discord, the spaces work very similar to channels. They're basically buckets that have a theme in common. And I would even go further than that. I've hooked up these spaces, like the economic space, for instance, to the economic space, or channel, I should say, in Discord. And so if I set up a new task and I make it public, the Dework integration will also make a post in the economics channel saying, hey, a new task has been added. Join now if you're interested. This is a great way for us to categorize different bounties that we have and allow anyone to be able to see them who's part of that channel, as well as keep track of how much money is being spent in each one of these buckets. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go into what you're probably going to use the most, the combined board down here. So this is all of the tasks that I have currently set up for the different spaces. And so just as at a quick glance, I can see what's happening, what needs to be done, what's in progress, what needs to be reviewed. I can see the people associated with those different projects. I can see the urgency of what those are. And I can also see what groups they're a part of. So testnet task, a GUnit task, an art task, etc. So this isn't a really, the combined board is not really the place where you would add tasks. It's more a great overview. But if you are in a management role, you can move tasks around if you feel they are in the incorrect category. The only people who are able to do this have a management role. But if we were to go into an actual space, let's start with economics. I'm going to go to the overview here, or the board, I mean. Anyone who is a leader in this space could move tasks. So let me go into the settings tab here right next to economics, and I can go into permissions. So people who can manage the space, I have as a lead economics role. And by the way, this is connected to Discord in that. So someone could grant the role of lead economics in Discord, and they would automatically get the permissions here in Dework. In addition, you can add users. So I could say, all right, I want Clamato or Rake to have this this capability, even though they don't have the role. I would recommend we avoid that where possible. It's better for us to keep track of this in a role that is associated with it rather than just putting people's names in and taking them out. Really helps with consistency, with identity. In the create tasks here, I have a lead economics as well as an economics role. So we could have people who aren't the leader managing the space. They aren't the ones who pay out or do other associated things to the managing, but they're able to create tasks. So you can kind of see this as a second in command. And again, same way, I would prefer that we use the economics role in Discord or the lead economics role rather than just willy-nilly assigning people here who don't have that role. And then down here we have a private space. If that's clicked, then you can choose who can see it, who can't. Lunchbox is my wife's account, by the way. In other people's view, if I did this, economics would be removed. They would not be able to see it here or in the combined board. So if we want to keep things open and transparent, we should keep that in a public space. All right, let's go to the board. That's going to be just below the title here. In this here, if I wanted to create a task, I click the plus sign. Right now it's open to applications, and I can change that. So I could assign people. I could make it where multiple people can submit work and we choose a winner. We also have direct claiming, and this would be where people can self-assign. Hey, I'm going to take charge of this task. Personally, I think that assigning it or using open applications is probably one of the better ways to do this. But direct claiming is also a really good way unless you're doing a contest. You can also choose who can apply. It automatically defaults to the economics role, which I think is really what we want. And we're going to save that. We can also add a bounty. And this can be added at any time, but we're going to do that right now. I'm going to make this task in Phonon, and I'm going to choose 100 Phonon. Another fun feature is I could peg that to USD, and now it's $100 in Phonon. But for now, let's just stick with 100 Phonon. I'm going to click Save. I can choose skills if I feel this is a development thing, a marketing thing, etc. For economics, we're going to put research. The status is in to-do. That's correct. I can directly assign people. So if I decided this was going to be a project that Rooster and I were going to work on, I'm going to assign Rooster and I. We're going to put this as a priority of low, and we're going to estimate the task effort at a 10. Currently, I want to work with how we want to weight these tasks, but for right now, I think 10 is a fairly simple task. 100 could be a more difficult task. We're going to enter the task name here. We're going to put in research LPs for liquidity pools. And we're going to put a good description. We are having issues with the Uniswap V3 pool. Look into and create a presentation on what options are best for the DAO to provide liquidity in the future. All right, so we have a description. We can also add a subtask. I think that that's really niche when you start getting into subtasks. I'm just going to do it for demonstration purposes. So we're going to put in here, create presentation. And we're going to do slideshow for our economics meeting on the 25th. All right, we're going to save that. A nice thing about subtasks, if I want, I can add a calendar date. So we're going to put the 25th of August. And the last thing I want to do is here at tags, we're going to do econ. And it's very important we add this because it'll help us categorize in the combined board what group this task is under. All right, so now I'm going to create this task. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my Discord here, and this is where things get really cool. So in submitting this task in economics, research LPs is now a task. If I were to click that, it would take me to that task, and I could decide, you know, hey, I'd like to join, or I could make another comment along the lines of, I'd recommend looking into balancer 80/20 pools. And I could provide a link if I wanted to, send that. And now this is already in here. And, you know, if another user were to join and they wanted to become a part of this group, we could decide if that makes sense, et cetera, et cetera. Now I am doing this with the admin account, so it's showing a bunch of options that would not be available to normal people. I'll show what that looks like in a second. But more importantly, if we go back to Discord, we can see that the research LPs, by clicking on that tab, we now also have a research thread. And this research thread would only be viewable to me, because I'm the only person who's clicked on the link, in addition to Reddit Rooster, because in the work group, I added Reddit Rooster. And so it automatically put him into that thread. And if we wanted to, we could continue the conversation here. And this is all nice and categorized. Now let's go through the workflow. If this moves to in progress, which would be done by a moderator, if this moves to in review, it can now be approved. I'm going to go ahead and approve it. One thing I want to note in Discord, this has also been updated in the thread for that project. I'm going to click approve, and now it's ready to pay. And the moderator for this team can click pay, choose the wallet they want, and they could pay. And I don't have everything I need in here for this wallet. I'm going to direct the transaction. But on the user end, and I'll show this in a minute as well, you can hook up your wallet to Dework here. So you can actually see my wallet address that it would pay out to is right here. If someone hasn't hooked it up, it will prompt them at this point to go ahead and hook up their wallet. And it just makes the batch pay very simple. And once that is paid, realize it hasn't been paid yet, then it would now have the amount of money I have earned as a total. And in addition, if I go back to the Phonon, we'll go to the leaderboards here, it would then populate how much money I've earned. We can see 27 cents, so congratulations. So one thing I want to show as well, and let me go back to Discord here, we can see there's the research LPs. I'm going to move this off again. I'm going to go ahead and delete this task. Normally you wouldn't do this until after things are paid, but I just want to show what happens. If I click delete, that task is now deleted. And if I go back to the Discord, you can now see that there is no longer an LP task here under economics. So wonderful. All right, so I just pulled this up in a separate account. I have Maverick the dog. He does not have any roles currently, but he is a part of the Phonon Discord. And I just wanted to show really quick what it looks like for someone who does not have any roles. So we can see he's not able to move any of these items around. If he clicks on it, he is able to comment down at the bottom, but he's not able to join a group. It's already been assigned and that's locked. He's not able to change anything, and that's basically it. He can see what's in the other channels. If we go to the different boards there, he can see the combined roadmap, but there's no settings options or any of those tabs down here. If I were to go to the Discord for Maverick the dog, you can see he's not able to see the economy working group. So that is something that I feel is a nice part of this as well. Only people who are pertinent are able to see tasks are being added, etc., etc. But also, if he was to try and comment on something, or to want to do something, he just doesn't have any ability to do that outside of commenting here. So, testing, can you add me to this group? That's about all that he can do. They could put in a suggestion, you know, you go to the new suggestions page, governance, you know, Maverick the dog would be able to say something here, but that's about it. So I feel that's important to note as well. So something else I wanted to share quickly, there's also the ability for someone with a management role to be able to add spaces, and it's not the actual spaces, but it's spaces within spaces. I would recommend for the most part we stay away from that, so I can type in governance number 2. I can create that. And now under governance, we have a whole nother board of governance 2. As we grow as a Discord and a group, this may make more sense, but for where we're at right now, it's probably best everything governance related stays in the governance space. In addition, just as a heads up, if you want to delete something, they intentionally make it a little difficult. So I go into settings, I have to click delete space, I have to type in case sensitive governance number 2. I understand the consequences, delete this space. So just as a heads up, that's kind of how that works. That's how that works for all of these spaces. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Do realize there will also be videos specific to people who are part of the group but aren't in a lead role. I'm also going to have a video put together for regular people who may not be a part of any of these groups, just so they can kind of see what we're doing and how we're doing it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you around.